I turned Millwall into the most aggressive team in the world. Part 4 Millwall Season 2 Foul Targets. Our defeat in the Championship playoffs consigns us to another season, chasing the promised land of the Premier League. But there is a silver lining: there are 8 more fixtures in the Championship every year. So it gives us an opportunity to better last year's impressive tallies. This is what we are aiming for, at a minimum, this season. Yellow cards, 156, new target 165 plus red cards, 6 new target 10 plus fouls, 11-18 new target 1200 plus. I once again set our code of conduct to omit any fines for cards, and refuse to back down. When the players again complain about it, they should be delighted. The club would have probably made at least 6 figures in fines last year had I left it standard. Friendlies. The board give me a short list of places to hold the pre-season training camp. I don't even need to look at it. We're having our training camp here in London, the greatest city in the world. I had planned to arrange something of a cricket test series against Leeds in pre-season to add a bit of bite to our friendly fixtures. Unfortunately, Leeds don't seem to understand and refuse to play us 7 times in short succession. Instead, I arrange a grueling 9-game pre-season against every one of our club rivals, excluding West Ham, who refuse to play a friendly against their arch-rivals, and 2 of our new feeder teams. The plan just about works. We managed to get at least 2 bookings a game, committing around 20 fouls in the process, which is a marked improvement on last year's pre-season. The high comes against Shrewsbury, with 7 yellows and a dire goalless draw. And I learned that FA disciplinary fines don't apply to friendlies. Summer transfer setbacks. Our failure to gain promotion hits us harder than I'd expected. Our club reputation hasn't changed since last year, and our key targets again refuse to talk to us. Lee Cattermole seems to be loving life in Venlo, if that's even a real place, and once again ignores our approach. Other key targets follow suit. My scouts on the continent bring me grave news. Pepe has announced his retirement. He won't even stay on in a non-playing role. The footballing world will lose one of the all-time greats, and the Millwall faithful will never get to see him line up alongside Sean Hutchinson and Sonny Bradley at the heart of our defense. Despite these setbacks, we do make some progress. To my delight, Liverpool agreed to loan us their shithouse goalkeeper Kamil Grabara. I will deal with the problem of signing him on a permanent deal another year, but for now, at least, we have solved our goalkeeping issue. Since he already argues with officials and winds up opponents, there's not much he can learn, but I decide to try to teach him to take free kicks too. For backup, I signed Jojo Woolacott from Bristol City for a hefty potential £5 million fee. He's way overpriced, but his wages are low. He's happy to be a backup, and he has 20 aggression. If I can somehow get him arguing with referees, he'll be a star. The main deal of the summer drags on right until transfer deadline day. Ben Pearson. We somehow avoid starting a bidding war with the likes of Leicester by waiting until late on in the window. He wants £20k a week, way above any other Millwall player. I managed to negotiate him down to £18k, still expensive, but if you want this level of shithousery, you have to pay good money. In other business, we signed centre-back Jack Fitzwater on a free transfer. Last year's loanee Filifosu Aya for £60k, and striker Ivan Toney from Peterborough for £250k. He hasn't scored in 26 hours of football, which concerns the fans, but he does wind up opponents, which in my book is far more important. Outgoings are fairly standard. I sell or loan everyone who isn't a bastard, or a bastard in the making. The most notable outgoings are squad midfielder Ryan Leonard for £750k, and striker Tom Bradshaw for £5 million. I'd already agreed the Bradshaw deal last year, after he failed to dive into tackles. Not only did he then go on to learn that trait at the second attempt, he also learned to wind up opponents from his mentoring group. Realizing my mistake, I immediately asked to loan him back. For some strange reason, Burnley agree. Pearson dreams of relegation. The season starts poorly. We lose our first 4 games, finally ending the run with a 3-3 draw. We're leaking way too many goals. Grabara is at fault for a number of them, but more concerningly, we concede loads from free kicks to the far post. This is exacerbated by the fact that we give away a lot of free kicks. If we can't defend them, we're doomed. I trialed a more open 5-2-3 in pre-season, hoping to force my players into last-ditch fouls and up our booking count. It failed on all aspects, and I am forced to return to the tried and tested 5-3-2 to try and get us winning again. We do eventually win some games, but our form on the whole remains poor. And any hopes of promotion turn to worries about relegation. Weirdly, we look fantastic in the League Cup, reaching the quarterfinals. Though I attribute this to us employing the Man City tactic of getting easy draws every round. Our card count, our raison d'etre, is exceptional. Our first 7 games see us receive 3 disciplinary fines, the high coming at Nottingham Forest in a repeat of last year, 8 yellows and a red. We're up on last year already. I just need to turn these fouls into points somehow. Ben Pearson is deserving of special mention. In just 3 matches he gets a suspension for 5 yellow cards. After investigating, I discover it's because he played twice for Preston before joining us, getting booked in both games. He will go on to get 8 bookings and a red card in his first 10 games for us. His performances are terrible otherwise, and he may be a reason for our league position, but it's £5.5 million well spent. The beginning of the end. We slip towards the relegation zone. Our performances do improve, and we continue our solid card count. But our strikers have seemingly forgotten how to score goals. Injuries to Matt Smith and Ivan Toney, our only forwards in any semblance of form, have compounded matters. Joe Garner hasn't scored all season. Ryan Edmondson's highlight reel consists of him consistently heading crosses over from 6 yards. Tom Bradshaw dribbles into excellent positions only to put his shots straight at the goalkeeper every time. 2 very winnable games at Blackpool and Blackburn end up 1-1 draws. This is followed by 2 1-0 losses, the second a last-minute defeat after we go down to 10 men. Last year we'd have won all 4 games. I'm not surprised to be summoned to a board meeting where I'm given a lifeline: get 9 points from the next 5 games, or lose my job. This is a tall order. It's made even more difficult with yet another suspension for Ben Pearson, and with Afosu Aya also out for 3 games after his straight red. But the fixtures are winnable. We just need to score some actual goals. The first game is probably the easiest, at home to newly promoted Ipswich. We hammer at the gate but cannot break it down, picking up another 5 bookings, but eventually having to settle for a 0-0 draw. It's not good enough. Edmondson had the cheek to ask for an improved contract a few weeks back, yet he somehow scores fewer goals than Almernias. Thankfully Smith and Toney both return from injury for our next game, a tough fixture away at local rivals Charlton. It's a tight affair, before Shane Ferguson volleys in a worldie from outside the box just before halftime. We injure 2 players, and with them down to 10 men through no fault of their own, Smith seals the win in the final seconds. A crucial victory, Millwall style. We go away to Rotherham next, another promoted side, and scrape a 1-0 win, thanks to an excellent finish from Toney. I even bring in fan scapegoat Richie Smallwood for his first start in months. Back to basics. I need 2 points from our next games to save my job. Unfortunately they're against the top 2 sides in the division. Against Aston Villa we take an early lead thanks to Pearson's first goal for the club on his return from his 3rd suspension of the year, but are under pressure from then on, eventually conceding an equalizer in the 74th minute, but somehow hanging on for the draw. It all comes down to the 5th and final game. I need a point, but it's against rivals Brentford, who'd beaten us in the playoffs last year. I build my players up for the game by slagging off Brentford's manager and the press. I've come too far for this project to fail now. The game is a grueling slog. We pick up 3 bookings early on, and to my dismay, Malumbi gives away a penalty, luckily escaping a 2nd yellow for doing so. But it's Grabara's time to shine. He finally does something worthwhile, saving the shot low to his right-hand side. And on the stroke of halftime Matt Smith puts us ahead with an uncharacteristic powerful strike from the edge of the area. Are we actually doing this? We sit back and disrupt any rhythm all second half, reaching 7 bookings and keeping the score to 1-0. My job is safe for now, and the ensuing FA fine caps a wonderful 5-game run. Season 2 the halfway point, and with my job safe, we reach the halfway point in the season. We've improved our fouls and cards from last year. We're on course for an exceptional 170 bookings even without playoff games, but our league form has been poor. I do think that performances have been better than our results, and that if we can take our chances, the 12-point gap to the playoff positions isn't completely out of the question.